that you can go and check out. Some of them are like swimming, health club with a gym and a spa where you can go and relax. Now they also have continental dishes and cuisines and other dishes, including Ugandan ones, that you should go out and check. They are located in the heart of Entebbe, and of course their numbers will be running shortly on the screens. If you want any reservations for anything, because they also do host parties, that is weddings, engagement parties, and all other kinds of sorts of parties, you can call them and make reservations. Now this morning we are here to discuss about the ups and downs of Kampala's journey, and in the hands of KCCA particularly, we have very, very many things when it comes to KCCA, and some of them include they handle a lot of stuff like our roads, our drainage systems, but also not forgetting that they have schools and hospitals under them. We're going to look at all that and how exactly the plans are, first of all, to improve the city, and but also to transform Kampala city into a smart city. Now remember, we are live on our social media platforms. That's on YouTube at Church of Uganda Family TV, but also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Same name, Church of Uganda Family TV. Yeah, my name is Carol Tubine. I hope I had said that earlier. And my guest in studio this morning from KCCA is Simon Kasyate, their spokesperson. You're very welcome to studio this morning.
Tremendous, Carol. Very happy to be here on a rainy Tuesday morning, but certainly there's no coldness in this place. It's all vibrant, and I'm happy as always.
We're glad to have you here.
Most obliged.
Okay, since it has rained, it is a very good chance to even talk about our drainage systems and the floods that have been disturbing Kampala of late. However, I'd like to start by asking, how is KCCA and how far are you on the mandate that you have as a government entity?
Thanks for being very kind, Carol. I would have expected that with the rains this morning, you would have started by saying we were almost going to start the program later, not even starting it at all, because you couldn't have made it here thanks to floods and thanks to KCCA. But since we're all here, and I'm sure those watching us from wherever it is that they are watching us, they've had a good commute, or at least they're preparing to have a good commute out of their comfort zones wherever they're going. We are moving on very well in as far as putting together our mandate as KCCA. And our mandate is a simple one, to ensure that we run this city as a vibrant metropolis that you and I and everyone else watching us is happy to call home, or happy to call a workplace, or happy to call the capital city of their beloved nation. And among the things that we do, far from what you see today as roads in disrepair, what you seem not to appreciate is we do quite a lot more. We provide health care services. We run 8 health facilities across the city, providing not just affordable but free medical care, to the extent that we do some minor surgeries, we do some of course baths, we also carry out dental and all the other general health works. We also are very strong in public health. That's why you don't hear things like cholera, which used to be a buzzword whenever it rains, such as now. You see how we fought hard to stem away the Ebola virus. We also saw that we took lead together with other government agencies in the stemming of COVID. But we're also very deeply engaged in solid waste management. Yes, there could be some challenges in terms of our capacity, and that's why we, for the most part, also outsourced private players into the solid waste management realm to ensure that this city, which generates 2 million tons of garbage every single day. Can you believe that, Carl? Every single day, our beautiful city generates 2 million tons of garbage, and we make sure that 60%, bare minimum of that, is collected on a daily. There's, of course, stuff that we do in education. Tomorrow we see primary leaving examinations going to start, and KCCA is at the forefront of the delivery of PLE papers, just so you know. Why? Because we are a bulk investor in education. We run 78 primary schools in this city, and all these are universal primary school education type of schools. We also run 22 senior secondary schools, so we have also been heavily invested in the conducting of Uganda Certificate of Education examinations. So beyond that, what we possibly know us to be famous for is revenue collection, where we levy trading licenses, and other taxes, building fees and all sorts of things. And together, just to give you a perspective of how much revenue we collect, together with our sister neighboring districts of Wachiso and Mukono, I think we account to over 60% of the nation's GDP. We collect it from here, because this is the commercial hub of the country.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a huge metropolis. So there's that aspect. Then we are also into running of social services, including the management of markets. Your neighbor here, Nakasero Market, is one of 16 markets across this city that we manage. Those are public markets owned by the government of Uganda under the stewardship of KCCA. We are in the process of building many other markets to ensure that many of our folks, you just asked me earlier on in our preps about the hawkers and vendors who, for the most part, we are now infamously known for chasing off the streets in our decongestion campaign, so that we give you a good experience when you're walking on the streets of Kampala, not to be weary of stepping on a vendor's merchandise, kicking the bucket, or sorry, not kicking the bucket, that's a bit grotesque, but kicking the basket of a lady selling groundnuts and possibly you don't even have a penny in your pocket to reimburse her. So we're saying we want to decongest the city of these vendors and hawkers and give them dignified working spaces in markets across all our divisions. So that we're also doing. And many other things. But unfortunately, we seem to be in the spotlight for infrastructure development, which I'll be telling you later in the program that we're also doing quite pretty well.
Okay, thank you. Maybe let's start from, there are a number of things you've mentioned that I want to ask about.
Please.
But let's start with the drainage system. We had a staff member from the KCCA who told us that there's a plan to improve drainage. But the problem is that the funds are lacking. And could you justify that? Could you tell us whether that is true or not? And also, what is the plan to improve the drainage system? Because it is one of the things that is causing the floods, I believe.
True.
Yeah, so what plans are there from KCCA to improve the drainage system?
Carol and the
And
viewers,
how long is it going to take? Sorry.
Beautiful. You know what you call it, a cocktail of questions. Carol and the viewers, I would want you to rest assured that what KCCA has, at least for lack of anything else, we have plans.
Okay.
The plans are always there. And particularly for the flood management, we have the Kampala City Flood Management Master Plan from as way back as 2016. And it's a revolving master plan that looks into the current situation as it prevails, the current landscaping, the current distribution of what you'd say built up areas, the status of our drainage or runoff spaces like swamps and wetlands and the like. Now, this master plan has for the most part been worked on phase by phase because it requires colossal sums of money to implement, but also it faces certain other challenges that are for the most part self-created by we the citizens of this city. But let me start from the financing bit. Recently we had a project, the Kampala Institutional Infrastructure Development Program, KIDP2, that saw the refurbishment of 2 major catchment swamps or drainage channels in the city. Do you recall that whenever it rained like now, the word was Bwaise is now underwater? Do you hear about that anymore?
Nope.
Bwaise doesn't flood. You know why? Because the Rubiji swamp or drainage system and the Nankamiro drainage system have been worked on in a manner that is possibly one of the architectural marvels that you'd think about, thanks to the financing from the World Bank. But that project came to a halt, although we also hadn't even completed it, and we are hoping that we should be completing that. There are 9 catchment swamps in this city, because you know our city is set on undulating hills. There used to be 7 originally, now there are many more of those. For every hill, there's a valley which has a swamp and, wetland. And all these were made in such a way that they drain water, flood water, runoff water into the lake. Unfortunately, Carol, for much of these naturally existing wetlands, we have reclaimed. Go and see what's happening between Spear Motors and Chambogo. The flooding that you get there when it rains for 5 minutes is not because the drainage channels don't exist, but it's because the Chinawataka swamp has been grossly encroached on and heavily reclaimed. When you go to Bungasoya, which area now unfortunately we've had to close temporarily to allow for us to fix a bigger culvert than there is. The culverts that were there could have been sufficient, but where the water is headed, the entire stretch of the swamp up to the lake has been reclaimed. by not aliens, but we Ugandans. We pour heaps of maramine there. So we've distorted the natural flow of water. But needless to mention, KCCA goes ahead to say we will now use what we can in the available means to ensure that we increase the size of the culverts. So what we're putting at Bungasoya, for example, is a box culvert. But beyond the encroachment of wetlands, we have another problem that is also self-inflicted. The indiscriminate disposal of solid waste, plastics and all the other chaff that we just throw out of our car windows, our homes. We even pick rubbish from our homes in Uveras. We drive and look for the nearest trench and throw them in still 3. All that, when it rains, is washed down and it clogs what would otherwise have been immaculately aerated waterways and drainage systems. And every day our staff are out there dredging this stuff. If I showed you some of the pictures of the stuff we find in these drainage channels, you'll be flabbergasted. I mean, we find there all sorts of things, including carcasses of dogs and all sorts of things, but we don't stop. So the flooding that you see is not so much because we do not have a drainage system or a drainage master plan. It is largely because of the encroachment we have done on what should otherwise have been natural sipping points for the flood water. And I think we as a society have not appreciated that for this to be done effectively, because we've seen societies such as the Dutch. Netherlands is over 40% below sea level, but they were deliberate in building dikes using technology to say, as a community, we are going to harness this resource called land from the sea. And so we're going to be intentional and we're going to work collectively and use science. But here, Carol, who has a little plot near a swamp, will do what she does. Then Simon, the neighbor, does what he does in total disregard of what Carol is doing and all that. Of course, someone watching us this morning is going to say, but look at Simon. He's speaking like he's not working for an institution which supposedly gives permission to people to build in wetlands. And I'm here to look them in the face and say, KCCA does not and has never granted permission for anyone to build in a wetland, to reclaim a wetland. If anything, those who are doing it, they do it illegally, and they are fully aware of the fact that they're doing it illegally. Now another question comes through. Sorry, I'm answering and asking my own questions.
I know, you're part of the media.
Exactly, my old habits are very hard to die. Folks who do this know full well that they are breaking the law. And they do it in such a great extent with brazen contempt that for the most part, you will come and find a cordoned off site as KCCA enforcement, armed with a wooden baton at most, and maybe some rusted handcuffs. And what do you find guarding this site? Folks with automatic rifles, some wearing National Army uniform. At that point, what do you do? We have had our enforcement officers assaulted, accosted, and for the most part, brutalized for coming to do the right thing of enforcing the encroachment on our wetlands. So sometimes we find ourselves with our hands tied at the back, and we're in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson. And we know these people. They are our siblings. They are our kith and kin. We know the developers in these wetlands. And they do it with such contempt. And that's why I come here now to say I will use this platform to appeal to Kampalans, to appeal to Ugandans, and ask them this question. You've heard of the saying that karma doesn't miss its address?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't miss its address. So we had an incredible gentleman at Lugogo Forest Mall who decided to build in a waterway.
What?
In total disregard of what we advised him to do. When it rained, you saw what happened to his tenants. The ground floors were flooded. The building is floating on water. Karma does not miss its address. So number one, you risk being inconvenienced because nature cannot be cheated. That's number one. But number two, what country or city are we bestowing onto the next generation? Because our children are going to be here. Our children's children are going to be here. So if we are doing things with reckless abandon, in total disregard of available laws, ordinances, and institutions such as KCCA, are you saying you want to turn this country, this beautiful city of ours, into the wild, wild west for your children to live in? So sometimes there comes a moment when Carol and myself and others need to appeal to the inner sanctum of our conscience and ask yourself, even when you have the means to do so, even when you have the power and the guns to encroach on a wetland, are you doing the right thing?
We have leaders in Uganda, in Kampala particularly, Minister for Kampala. We even have the head of state.
We have the Lord Mayor, we've got the whole council, we have 4,000
All
elected
these leaders are
Kampala.
not doing anything about people building in wetlands day in, day out, and there's no solution.
I think I'm being extreme, Carol. It's not that they are not doing anything. If they were not doing anything, there would not be any wetland left. They are doing to the greatest extent to which they can. Okay. Because at the end of the day, let's also be honest. These leaders of ours are cut from the same fabric. If I, Simon, an ordinary folk who thinks I'm entitled to build and encroach on a wetland, and I do so in my private capacity, if tomorrow I am made the director for corporate affairs at KCCA, do you think that my title at KCCA will change my habit?
No, it won't.
Michelle Obama wrote that power does not change a man. If anything, it exposes him for what he truly is. Oh. So if in private and without any trappings of power, I'm encroaching on wetlands brazenly, the moment I get some trappings of power, I will do so with reckless abandon, perhaps even more than I would have done. And that's why we are saying, first attend to yourself as an individual. The moment you are conscious of doing right, then the moment you are bestowed onto the responsibility of leadership, the responsibility of stewardship, then you possibly will rely on that conscience to do the right thing.
Wow. So where do we see Kampala in the near future? Now, I'm going to combine the drainage system and the floods. Every time it rains, some areas flood. That is why KCCA released
an advisory recently to guide motorists who are using the Bunga Road, for example. We also cut out Cape Road around Autospa towards Munyonyo. And that directly answers your question, where do you see Kampala Capital City Authority? Where do you see Kampala the city? In as much as I may have described to you the challenges we face, Caro, it's not doom and gloom.
Okay.
And that's the reason we possibly don't sleep at night, to ensure that we provide solutions to these otherwise glaring challenges. And I can tell you, without even going into the details, that I see Kampala in a good place in the next 3 years. In February of this year, I think I was here on this very show, and I say that before the year ends, Kampala is going to be a huge construction site with regard to roads rehabilitation, flood management mitigation, and the likes. And now you're beginning to see the fruits. What you see on Old Port Bay Road, what you see the inconvenience that is going on in the different places, including Bunga Soya and Cape Road, is part of our intervention to ensure that we bestow unto all the citizens here a city they are proud to live in and work in and commute through. So we're running several projects. One of them, prominent among them, is the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project, financed by the African Development Bank, to work on and rehabilitate over 30 roads, totaling to about, give and take, close to 100 kilometers. Now, 100 kilometers in the city is many roads, because that's the street here is barely 500 meters, but it's a road.
Yeah, about the roads, since you've talked about it, because we also want to know, why are there so many potholes in Kampala? Why is it a problem to fix the potholes? Why can't we be like other countries or other cities around the world?
We are a growing city, Caro. I want you to appreciate that our city has a total road network of 2,100 kilometers of roads.
Oh.
2,100. That includes the little road maybe to your home if you live in Kampala. Do you know how much of these 2,100 kilometers has tarmac or is paved?
You're going to tell us. I take a guess.
What percentage do you think it is?
About 2,000?
No. If it was 2,000, we would be on the rank of New York.
Oh, okay.
We have less than 700 kilometers of the 2,100 tarmacked. Meaning our tarmacked road coverage is 30%. 30%. Even an examination, 30% is an F8.
Yep.
Or a P8, whatever they call it, according to our gradings of that time. But even of the 30%, Carol, I need to make you realize where we stand as a city. Over 50% of the 30% are roads that have not seen major rehabilitation work in over 20 years.
Yeah.
Because road engineers will tell you that a road should be lasting up to about 15 years to get into a complete overhaul. It shouldn't last more than 15 years. But you have a road like Prince Charles Drive in Kololo that was built in the 50s. It has not had a major overhaul to it.
Yep.
So it is pothole riddled and it's just a mess as it is. Why are we in this state of affairs? It's because of ching. Annie,
Okay.
this country, is developing. There are other priorities that are pressing, from health, defense, education, and all the other social services. So for the most part, when we present our budgets for one, rehabilitation of roads or repairs,
Yeah.
we get a fraction of what we request. I'll give an example. In the last financial year, we asked for 100 billion shillings for just pothole repairs, the scattered potholes you see. And the government could only afford us 20 billion. So what we are dealing with is a fraction of what we actually asked for.
Okay.
It's like, say that beautiful coat of yours requires 5 meters of material to be made, but you are only able to afford 2 meters. It means that the product will possibly have no sleeves or will have no lapels.
Yeah.
So that is where we are. But gladly, the good news, and I'm not here to lament, is that government has woken up after some good shuttle diplomacy by my executive director and the incredible team that she leads, that's Madame Dorothy Kisaka, by going door to door, going to different stakeholders and say, look, members of parliament, the budget committee will appropriate this budgeting. Recognize that Kampala is the sitting room of this beautiful country, that it's the place which makes lasting impressions for this country. Make it a priority. She goes to the presidency, says the same thing, goes to the Ministry of Finance, says the same thing, mobilizes local leadership, says the same thing. So we are seeing a concerted appreciation of the need to finance Kampala effectively. But beyond that, they also go out and say, if the local resources are not able to fix this problem of roads, can we pick partnerships and funding from elsewhere? And that's why I talked about the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project, financed by the African Development Bank. The KIDI project I talked about earlier on, been financed by World Bank. There is a new project coming up on infrastructure development, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Project, to be financed by the World Bank. All this is supposed to ensure that we fix this city, increase the coverage of our tarmac, rehabilitate the old tarmac, and reconstruct what has been broken in other forms of infrastructure such as drainage. You talked about drainage vis-a-vis the roads.
Yeah. Let
Let me tag drainage with the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project, for example. Do you know what these new roads are going to look like, Carol?
I've not seen
They're going to
it.
have covered drainage, going through huge pipes. I mean, if you take a keen interest around MOBs, you will see the kind of drainage system we're talking about. Well, it's going to be like maybe a spaghetti connection. We're ensuring that through that project, we are signalizing junctions. We are putting their proper culverts that are huge, so that the road, when done, is a fit for all multi-purpose boulevard. Wider, thicker, intelligent, because we are signalizing almost every junction in Kampala. Right now we have a project financed by the Japanese to signalize 27 major junctions in the city. What I mean by signalizing, I mean putting evitara, traffic lights. We are also, part of the project is going to remove 5 roundabouts, because you know that roundabouts are, for the most part, huge choke points for traffic flow and management.
Yeah.
So you notice there used to be a roundabout at Fairway Hotel. Since they removed that roundabout and created that kind of junction, I think the traffic flows a little better. So Makere, Chivulu, Kavule, that roundabout, Kubiri, that roundabout at Mulago Mochari, Nyakakande's church on the upper side, the roundabout at Mulago near First Pharmacy, those are 3. The roundabout just above here at Standard Chartered Bank, the roundabout just outside Renzori Towers, Renzori Courts, High Court, and Sheraton Gardens on the other side. If I were you, Carol, I would go there and take a selfie around these places, because soon they won't exist. So we're going to signalize those places in a bid to improve on the traffic flow and management. So the future is brilliant. What we are going through now, the inconvenience, the diversion, the dust, the mud, and everything, is, my favorite meal is matoke, and I love it steamed. But believe you me, I know that to prepare a good steamed matoke, you've got to peel it in the first place. When you're peeling matoke, you know what it leaves on your hands? Dirt, soot, and all sorts of things. So what we're going through are the vagaries of preparation. But when it is served, to be hot, sumptuous, and nice. More like an omelette. I mean, okay, Rolex. If you must have a good omelette, some eggs have to break. So right now we are breaking the eggs so that we can give you a good, well-done omelette.
Your budget was 100 million for the
billion
roads.
Shillings
Billion
for just
shillings.
What you would call routine maintenance. Not even repairs, just routine maintenance.
And you were able to get 20. But also you had budgets for other things, and I believe they were also cut
Absolutely.
to a certain amount.
Including the communications budget.
Okay, interesting. But I want to understand, or the viewer would like to understand, does this money that is given to you do at least what it's supposed to do? Does it fix a few issues at least?
Absolutely. We cut our coat according to our cloth. And if you've been keen enough, Caro, and our viewers won't believe that they have been keen enough, there are sections where we have done some repairs. If you live near Namirembe or Nubali Ntuma Road, the section right outside Ndeje University, you know that place was, you'd call it a death trap. But we managed to clear out and rehabilitate an entire section. Katwe, we are doing incredible work there. When you go to our little streets, which are, you know, we're trying to patch up potholes here and there. And the only thing with pothole patching, it has to be a continuous process. Because you patch here, another one will develop here. So you must always be on the lookout. Sometimes we prepare them for patching, cut them into different shapes. You know, we like shaping them into triangles, rectangles, trapezia, and all that. And then we find ourselves cash strapped. So we have to wait for some time. And that inconveniences motorists. But yes, whatever money we're given, we try and put the best use to it.
All right. So there's a plan to transform Kampala city into a smart city.
Without a
Tell
doubt.
us about that plan.
The new executive director, Madame Dorothy Kisaka, when she came on board, she came with this marvel of an idea to say, look, Kampala should just be a geographical space called the capital city. It must be a place that puts in a certain sense of living for people to feel that they are in a progressive metropolis. And so she came up with what she aptly called the smart city agenda, to say, how do we leverage technology? What do I mean by technology? For example, if you have your building plans, you have your, you need a service, you don't have to walk to a KCCA office or division offices to present a pile of papers. You should be able to go online and make submissions, have your assessments for your taxes done online, leveraging technology. That everything is done at the palm of your at the palm of your hands. Leveraging that technology. For example, we have one amazing app for which, by the way, we are nominated for an international prize, and I would call upon all the viewers to vote KCCA.
Okay.
Forget about the bad roads and everything. Just know that we have been one of the leading innovators in an app we call Weyonje. We gave it in our local language. It's an app you can download from, you know, Play Store and Google. It is an app that helps in fecal sludge management. Now, this city, only 6% is connected to the national sewer line. The rest of us 94 are either using septic tanks or pit latrines. And these places get filled up. So you need to dredge this out. And there are people providing that service. But do you know where they are? Are you going to walk to Wankoko in that place and start looking for a cesspool emptier? No, but you download the app called Weyonje. You put in your details. It's a GIS, that is a global positioning system kind of thing. It's a GPS enabled app. You put in your details, your location, and our service providers will pick it up and come and provide that life-saving service of fecal sludge management from your place. It has greatly transformed, especially the slum dwellings. You know, previously in Kampala, you used to have things called flying toilets, where people did their mess in buveras and threw across. Others were doing open-air defecation. I'm sorry, people may be having breakfast and they're listening to this kind of thing, but that's the reality of our city. And that's why the word cholera was a buzzword whenever I trained, because fecal sludge management was at its lowest. Then this app comes in, intelligent, and is able to ensure that people get this service on the go and at an affordable price. So that's technology, leveraging technology with infrastructure. Now you notice technology, infrastructure, which means good roads, good supply of, you know, of systems, water and all that, all for people's well-being. So Madame Kisaka hinged the smart city agenda on what we call the three pillars, which in my own analogy, I want to call the three legs of a stool. Carol, have you sat on a three-legged stool? If one leg is wobbly, the stool will never hold. So technology, infrastructure, people's well-being are the pillars on which the smart city stands. Now, people's well-being includes The other thing you talked about, Simon, you're chasing away vendors and hawkers from the streets. What's up with them? And we are saying, no. You, Carol, who has got a shop and pays rent and goes through the hassle of maintaining that shop, should not be in competition with the guy who has brought their ware and laid them right on your veranda, selling exactly what you're selling in, except that they are undercutting you because they don't pay rent, so they are selling at a cheaper price. And any other reason a person would rather buy cheaper for the same good. So we are saying, no, let's decongest the city. Let's create a city environment that gives people, let's work on the air quality. You're here talking about roads. Do you have an idea of the air quality in Kampala? And we're monitoring that using technology. We are part of the Bloomberg Philanthropies initiative to work on, our clean air. So it's technology, people's well-being. We're saying these vendors are off the streets, but we're not throwing them in the wilderness. We are building for them markets and encouraging them to go to markets.
Which they don't want, which they
Sadly,
desert.
Exactly.
Like
Busega market
market empty.
Busega market, a state-of-the-art market. But people prefer to cover business abantu mumaso, to put the business right on the roadside. And so we're carrying out great sensitization and saying, look, a smart city is not just smart in word, but it should be in practice and outlook and demeanor. Okay. So this smart city agenda, we know and are cognizant of the fact that we cannot achieve it overnight. Family TV who knows the story of creation. The Almighty said, let there be, and there was. Let there be, and there was. He's the Almighty. But it took him 7 days.
Yeah.
Yet he would just say the word, and it's done.
Yeah.
We can't claim to be anything close to that. We are human. So we will build the smart city process by process. And that will include mindset change, will include financial mobilization, will include political buy-in and political goodwill from our respective leaders across the political divide and at all levels. It will require great and concerted effort. But the good thing is, someone started it. And she is there, and she's heading us and stewarding the ship in such a manner that we see light at the end of the tunnel. And that light is not an oncoming train.
Okay, so in 4 minutes before we take a break, would you tell us if KCCA was or is going to be affected by World Bank halting some programs and some money due to the homosexuality bill that was signed by President Museveni? Because we saw a lot of funding was cut around the whole country, but particularly for Kampala Capital City Authority. Has this affected you? Has the signing of that bill affected KCCA financially? No.
In the immediate term, or should you call it the short term, we already had a number of projects that were already, I would say, in the bag. The Greater Kampala Metropolitan project I told you about was already in the bag. Okay. And so the World Bank is certainly going to put a plug on that. Okay. We are still weary of what the medium and long-term effects will be, but we are also trusting and knowing that our government and the leadership of which at that high tactical and strategic level is doing everything possible, one, to ensure that there is no stalemate, that there is no halting to a grind, and that in all that, our sovereignty is guarded. So we're doing our part as KCCA to ensure that we bestow a beautiful capital city, and we are hoping that the leadership of this country, at that level I talked about, is also dealing with ensuring that the gap that will be created by this impasse or the relation with the World Bank and other funders could possibly be worked on, because we are not in the diplomatic space, we are not doing international relations. Ours is to ensure that we have a beautiful city. We can't sit back and say, oh, we will not do anything because someone is not financing us. We will use what is available to ensure that our people, our nation, gets the capital city it deserves.
Thank you so much, Simon Kasyate. Now we take a very short break, but we are still in studio with the spokesperson of Kampala Capital City Authority, and he's taking us through their plans, but also through how exactly some of these projects are going to turn out, especially drainage, the drainage system that is at the heart of Ugandans right now, but also the roads and the eviction of vendors and hawkers, which he has said is for a better cause or for a good cause, where you do not want to be walking around town and you cannot even move because the space is congested with hawkers, yet they have markets that were built, state-of-the-art markets that were built specifically for them to go and do their trading there. My name is Carol. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, and we will return shortly after this short break. Stay with us.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
You're still watching Issues at Hand with me, Nowamani, and we thank you for being a very good audience thus far that we've come. We are live on our social media platforms. That's at YouTube, where you can go and watch, comment, and like, as well as other platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where you can use the you can search the name Church of Uganda Family TV and follow the conversation. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. They say comfort and luxury at its best when you visit them. Now you can reserve for yourself and your friends and family through those numbers that are running on your screen. Now we do have the spokesperson of the KCCA. His name is Kasyate, and he is taking us through some of these things, especially mandate of KCCA and how far they are going with achieving it. Now, Mr. Kasyate, public health is one of the sectors that KCCA handles.
Sure.
Under that, you deal with diseases such as cholera and malaria. But we have a problem. These diseases usually affect slum areas that are in Kampala, and we have a number of slum areas.
True.
And my question would be, how are you handling the spread of malaria, for example, or how are you handling the spread of disease in the slum areas? Because actually this is even where some of the waste is, a lot of the waste comes in, and there's congestion and all the issues around slum areas. How are you making sure that you are maintaining health in these areas?
Beautiful question, Caro, and at the heart of our operations, because like we said, one of the major pillars of the smart city agenda is people's well-being, and if our people in the slum areas are not healthy, then we cannot claim to be running a beautiful and smart city. KCCA's Directorate of Public Health and Environment is working very closely with the Ministry of Health and other government agencies to ensure that we promote and are at the forefront of the delivery of huge government programs. You talked about malaria. You know, there's an ongoing huge malaria program from the Ministry of Health, financed by the Global Fund and other partners, Center for Disease Control, USAID, and other, philanthropic agencies. We are the forefront in sensitization. You'll be surprised that when you talk about our operations as Kampala Capital City Authority, we trickle down to the man on the ground, to the woman on the street. We have our what we call village health teams, led by impeccable young people like yourself, who are well equipped with the right information to sensitize their own peers in their own communities on especially prevention. Our motto has always been prevention is better than cure. But beyond that, we know that yes, society will have people that will fall sick from time to time, and that's why when you look at our health facilities, Kisenyi Health Center 4, which is the closest from where you are right now, has been ranked for 3 years in a row by the Ministry of Health as the best health center 4 in the country.
Wow.
It is regarded as a health center 4 largely because of nomenclature issues, but it is actually a fully fledged hospital because it's led at the helm by a medical doctor that is a specialist. That's not what you find at the health center 4. A health center 4 is led by a medical officer who may not necessarily be at the rank of a doctor, but our health facilities, 8 of them, are headed by doctors. They have operating theaters. They have got dental services. They have got maternity and obstetrics services. We have got, we do surgeries, minor surgeries, circumcisions and things like that. So we attend to the usual diseases, the communicable diseases, cough, then malaria, of course. We admit because we have wards in there. If you go to Kisenyi Health Center, the population is amazing. It's huge, it's bustling, but we have the facility to look after them. So you see that we are working not as an island on its own, but we are working with community leadership, we are working with Ministry of Health, we are working with government of Uganda, so that we ensure that our city is healthy. And the good news is our services are free of charge.
Not even a shilling?
Not a shilling. You come to KCCA clinic right behind City Hall. You will have yourself treated and you'll walk away.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Interesting. My question now, before we get to the education part of it, what would KCCA want from government? What kind of support currently would KCCA want from government?
Need I say more? You know what this means.
Twagala sent.
Twagala kunywa money. Government obviously knows that for much of what we need to do, we need financing. But beyond that, we also need the political goodwill of the government. And we're not saying it's lacking. Matter of fact, I think we are eternally grateful to President Yoweri Museveni for the benevolence he has showed the leadership of KCCA and our current executive director. You recall that at the height of there were roads breaking up and there being no money towards the end of the financial year in April of this year, the president pronounced himself loud and clear on national TV and at a public function and said, no, he did what we did in Genesis. Let there be.
Okay.
And the money was availed to us, and we did what we could with the available resources that were sent to us. So the political will is there, the support from government, especially the helm, is there, but we believe, like they say in the local language here, to see Mabwongerwa, you clamor for more. You're a bit of an Oliver Twist that you get and demand for more because you have where you're taking it. There's an insatiable need.
Thank you. You have 78 primary schools and 22 senior secondary schools. 78.
But did you know that they had 78 of them? You don't just know Uganda Road, you just know Nakasero.
There are many.
There are many. Kiswa Primary School. Yeah. You believe that on top of Kololo Hill, there is Summit View Primary School also by KCCA. So in every nook and corner of this city, there's Kitevi Primary School, all there running.
And they are in a comfortable situation. We don't have roofs leaking and all that.
To the greatest extent, we've tried to remove. Some of them are really old and traditional schools that had asbestos roofing. Okay. And you know that asbestos was declared a carcinogenic substance, causes cancer. So for the most part, we've run a project to remove those roofs and replace them with more health-sensitive facilities. We've tried to refurbish the state of the classrooms. We continue to be overwhelmed by the numbers. Carol, this city has 1.5 million people in the night. But during the day, you're almost coming into 5 million. And these include our beautiful children that come in here to seek a decent education. So the schools are populated to the brim. We don't have a case where we have low occupancy. No, they're all there. They require to be taught. They require to be fed. They need amenities such as water and good sanitation. So all that wears off on us as KCCA, but we are resilient and we have the grit to ensure that we maintain the standard we've set for ourselves.
PL is starting tomorrow, and we have also USE starting this month. And what plans? Are you ready for the UNEB papers? Are your schools, as KCCA schools, ready and prepared to take on the challenge of these papers?
First, let me, on behalf of the institution and on my personal behalf, wish all the candidates of Primary 7 who are going to sit the examinations tomorrow and pray for divine intervention, the mercy and wisdom of God to bless them through that fundamental stage in their formation years. And we believe and are confident that they will pass the examinations in flying colors. Are we prepared? Yes. Our fleet is on the go. We have been charged with the distribution of UNEB papers across all the schools in Kampala, and our teams are on the ready. They are having a debrief this morning as I speak right now of drivers and other logistical staff members. So the logistics are there. We've planned our routes. We've planned our way. We know the state of our city. We know the state of our city roads, and we also know the weather. We will not deliver to a school 30 minutes into a paper claiming it because it was raining. No, that KCCA does not do. And if you have had the chance of doing a PL in Kampala, you recognize that we are more efficient at delivery of examination papers than, should I say this? Let me take a bab. Let me start the honest nest. Okay. And I say this really in a good faith. I'm saying again about another government agency, but KCCA is more efficient at delivering of examination papers than some agencies have been at the delivery of ballot paper. So in time and in their full numbers. So we know for sure that when you send us, we deliver. Yeah. So we're ready. How ready our students are, we believe that our teaching staff have done their very best in preparing these students, and we normally are always faring very well. Our traditional schools are always acing the examinations and delivering and shining responsible citizens onto the streets.
Okay, thank you so much for a beautiful show. Maybe let me end with this. You talked about tech infrastructure and people's well-being.
Yes.
And
the acronym is TIP, Technology, Infrastructure, People's Well-being. TIP, TIP.
How long are we going to take to see this in action? Maybe that would be the last question.
Carol, it's already rolling out in action. KCCA, for example, has developed not less than 40 apps that you can download on your phone and are able to get services delivered to you.
Okay.
Our BIM, there's one on building inspection and all that. We have others in finance. You have to pay for your. If you want to pay for your trading license, you don't have to come and line up at a bank, and you can do it right here, and we issue you your trading license right here. So it is in motion. But like they say, technology never sleeps. It's always evolving.
Yeah.
So we are part of the global evolution of technology, and seeing, depending on the needs, then we'll try to innovate and create a solution that's technology based. Infrastructure. Can we ever sleep? I told you the daunting task we have before us. Just on roads alone, we need to build the capacity of our roads to move from the 30% tarmac roads to at least double that, to make it 60%. The moment 60% of Kampala's roads are tarmac, believe me, you'll see a marked difference. There will be less time in commute. In other words, you spend less time on the road coming to your workplace. Your goods and services will be delivered within a good time. So there will be comfort in transportation, and that will attract many other facets of development to the city. Okay. Tourism will grow. You know that Kampala is a place that receives quite a number of tourists. You'll be surprised what we have here as touristic sites. Right here where you are, this very building can be marketed as a tourist attraction because it's named after Janan Luwum, and the story of Janan Luwum is something of a marvel that some people will have to travel from wherever it is, especially if they have followed the Christian faith, to notice that this guy literally was martyred. If you go down the street, you'll find the Hindu temple. It is one of about 2 or 3 in Africa. Okay. Which is taller underground than it is on the up. Did you know that this Hindu temple right below here, the height from ground going down, the depth, what you would call the depth, is longer than its height, and that it is built with single column stone pillars. Like the pillars that create the columns are single stone. It's not no, it is single stone. Okay. So they are tens of meters tall. Now you'd ask yourself, how did these marbles get here? And they came all the way from the coast because they came by ship. The story of the building of that Hindu temple is a story of Kampala, is a story of resilience and the different civilizations that we've had. You heard from your primary school, I'm sure, I don't know whether they still ask this question in PLE. Who opened the first shop in Kampala? And then we'll all say Ardina Vislam. Do you know where Ardina Vislam's shop is located? No. See? So these incredible touristic centers in Kampala. But can we enjoy the beauty of this city if we do not have good infrastructure? No, certainly absolutely not. So infrastructure development is still on. Then of course people's well-being. We all want to be healthy, we want to be nice. We want to have jogging lanes. We want to have parks where you can go and relax with your children and get some fresh air and think and innovate. So all these are a going concern. They cannot be a time cap to them. They are going to be a lifestyle for which we shall continue to clamor.
Thank you so much from the government of Uganda under KCCA, spokesperson Simon Kasyate, for your time. We hope to have you again sometime soon.
I'm always happy to be here. Why don't you even invite me at least weekly? Because there's something happening in the city weekly. So you see today we're discussing 200 things at the same time. Yeah. But if you said, Simon, we're going to allow you for until the end of the year. But every week we're going to discuss roads. The next day we're going to discuss hospitals. Next we're going to discuss this. Yeah. I'm sure it would work out. I'll talk to my leaders and see. Thank you so much for being our guest today. And we do thank our viewers so much for watching from where we started up to now. You can still follow the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, where we were live. You can go and watch the video again as you share with friends and family. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. I will be here tomorrow. My name is Nowamani, and